Hey guys, so we're here with the update notice. This is the version 5 update notice for Summoner's War, which involves the dimensional hole content. So they've added the dimensional hole. The requirement to enter is to clear Rift Raid level 1. And they have given us all of the information on the skills of each unit, as well as what it takes. They have followed suit with pretty much everything in the dev note before. I'm actually going to skip through the skills for now and come back to them really quickly. We're going to look at them in-game instead because the update notice has already gone through. We'll just skip past these. I think they look great. Just to mention, I think that the aesthetic of the second Awakens are actually quite nice. Okay, so let's scroll down here. So new ancient runes, grindstones, and ancient gems. So we already knew these from the dev notes. The amounts have not changed. 50 ancient magic stones and 25 rune ores to craft, and 30 ancient magic stones and 10 magic origins for reappraisal stones. Something else nice that they added to this, they gave us 100 more grind and gem slot stones, which are awesome. Really, really love that. And they actually made a change to the ancient magic shop. So the ancient magic shop, which involves the ancient magic crystals, or sorry, the ancient crystals, which you get from feeding in Nat 5s, they've actually increased the refresh chance to twice. So before it was only on reset of the first day of the month. Now it will also reset when TOA resets in the evening of the 14th. That's really cool. Not too much else on the dev note or on the patch note here. So let's just get right into it and look at the skills. The reason I wanted to show you guys the skills this way is because it's slightly easier to note which ones change. You can see the icons change. So for Rauk, the second skill now teams up with one extra ally, and the third skill will give you an instant turn when you kill, as well as decreasing your cooldown time by 1. Oh, I guess I don't have to swap around. Okay, my bad. So for Ikaru, just click there. Sorry about that. So the change for Ikaru is now that the number of allies you attack together with increases up to 3 according to your defense. I'm not sure how much defense is required to get all allies, but that's a pretty neat change to him. As well as the counterattack is now a passive. So increases your attack power and counters for one attack when you are attacked on your turn. Before it was a skill. You could use it and then get a counterattack buffed. But now it's an interesting passive. So that's kind of cool. More opportunities to throw a team up over and over. So looking forward to seeing people use Ikaru. So Ramahan. Ramahan is actually probably one of the most interesting units to me when it comes to the changes. Obviously, Rauk is really cool because of the extra turn mechanics, but what interests me the most about Ramahan is that all of his skills now scale with defense, which I think is awesome. So now that they've turned Ramahan into this more effective and more usable unit. Because now instead of just having a really strong skill 3 multiplier, now everything on his kit scales with defense, which ties the unit together quite well and gives him a phenomenal base defense. I think that's important to mention. All right, so Bella. Bella, everyone's amazing first love. This unit carries you so hard in the early game. They made a couple changes here. So first skill now reduces attack bar with a 50% chance. Second skill increases your attack bar if you attack an enemy with no beneficial effects. And they have slightly increased the heal amount or mobilize. But it's interesting. And they, with the skill up, they're also increasing the attack bar recovery for it. Now, I know a lot of people have Crow on their minds. I personally do not have Crow on my mind. I'm not super interested in the kit, but I know there are a lot of people who are, so let's talk about that. They have slightly increased the harmful effect rate for Scratch. I believe it was 80% before after skill ups, and now it is 90 after skill ups. So team up has a pretty cool mechanic here. So teams up with another ally to attack an enemy. The damage increases by 20% for each harmful effect on the enemy. And this effect also applies to the ally who attacks together. So both Crow and the team up ally will do enemy debuff scaling damage, similar to how, you know, Brandia has her third skill, Shalyn has her third skill. So Crow's third skill attacks the enemy's wounds to leave a branding effect for 2 turns. So they've added a branding, and the damage increases by 50% for each harmful effect on the enemy. And the cool thing is with the skill up, it looks like he'll be getting branding, a 3-turn brand. So the reason I'm not super sold or super interested on it is mainly because of the base stats, but I think there is still a lot of potential here. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's move on families. Let's go to the Warbears. Start with the fire one. So Ursha. So I'm not super sold on Ursha either. I think that Ursha may have a cool kit, but I'm not sure if it's enough for me. So they've added this, the inflicted damage increases by 100% when counterattacking. So basically double damage when, yeah, it's a full counter kit. Roar is ever so slightly different. Not by a lot though. But now there is a provoke added to Roar. Instead of just being an AoE attack break shout. And counter blow. So counter blow interests me because the harmful effect rate goes to 100 now. Before it was 70, but it had the cooldown time. So there is potential for Ursha to actually be a pretty strong turn 2 unit with the 100% provoke here. What interests me though is this provoke 3 turns? Because if this provoke is 3 turns, this actually could be really strong. 100% provoke 3 turns. So we'll see how that turns out. See if it works. And I also don't think this is an attacking skill. So it kind of bypasses elements if it's not an attacking skill. Dagora. Dagora is probably the most interesting Warbear to me. Not just because the phenomenal base stats that this unit has, but they added something really, really cool to, okay, well, they increase the harmful effect rates here, but this is what interests me the most. Recovers your HP by 35% and increases defense for 2 turns. Your max HP increases by 20% whenever you use crouch, and this effect accumulates up to 5 times. So you can essentially double Dagora's HP, which is insane. Like that's such a cool mechanic. I'm interested to see if people will use him at all. I think that there is a fair bit of potential with him. And Spirit's Will passive always being a pretty good classic here. Always being a classic, but I like that they added a counterattack to this. Gives him a little bit more threat. Makes people realize, hey, you know, should we CC him? Should we go for him? You know, how early do I need to deal with this unit? Yeah, a lot of cool things. I know everyone's looking forward to seeing Ramagos. I don't really care much for Ramagos. I don't think that there's anything super, super significant. They increased this to increase defense for 3 turns. And I think that's it, honestly. I don't think they changed anything else on his kit, or not that I can see. Because, okay, they made this 100% harmful effect rate, and then they gave him a slightly stronger heal and 3-turn defense buff. So, not super, super important, but could be enough to be very useful still. So, Lucia. I don't know a lot about this unit. I know Sean B was super interested in building it for some reason. So, let's go through and see what it does. So, first skill, slightly increased harmful effect rate. Actually, harmful effect rate is exactly the same, because 85% chances after skill ups. Okay, crouch. Recovers your HP by 35% and increases defense for 2 turns. So, slightly increases the recovery rate. Also recovers your HP by 15% each turn for 2 turns. I don't know if that's a recovery buff or if it just naturally does it. If it's not a recovery buff, that's actually pretty cool. And then we have the skill 3 here. So before, it would consume part of your life and deal damage. I believe it's 10% of your life or something. And it would inflict according to the enemy's max HP. So now it just says drops your HP to low amount and charges towards the enemy. Inflicts damage that's proportionate to the HP you consume. So I'm not sure how much HP it drops you by and how much damage it outputs, but there's potential for huge single target nukes with this. Especially with those base stats. 12.5k base HP and 770 defense. Pretty good. So far, it seems like the base stats of these units are very, very good. They easily rival Nat 5s in their strength. All right, let's go to Gorgo. Talk about Gorgo. So, no change to skill 1. Skill 2. So, the damage doesn't change. The attack rate does not change. Oh, but they've added an attack bar reduction. That's kind of interesting. I don't think that's super significant, but it's there. Okay, charge. So they changed charge. Charge used to be an active skill. I believe it gained a 70% stun crit rate bonus or something, and it's stunned. This used to deal what was, I believe, 40% of your max HP. So now it says, increases the chance of your attacks landing as a critical hit by 20%. Stuns the enemy for 1 turn when the attack lands as a critical hit with a 50% chance. So you can bring that up to 70. So 20 free crit and 70% chance to stun every single turn. And you have an AoE skill. That's not bad. Stun and attack bar reduction. Not bad. Alright, let's go do Pixies first. I'm saving fairies because the fairy family is the one that interests me the most. So I want to save that for last to talk about. Alright, so we have Tatu. So first of all, I think the aesthetic looks great. I like the wings. They look like blessings. They have added a dot to her skill 1. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with what Tatu does before. Some people use her for fun. But her skill 3 blows up dots. Kind of like super old school Sierra. With their skill 2, I don't think they've changed anything. I believe it is still the same. And skill 3. So skill 3 attacks the enemy to inflict damage. In addition, blows up the continuous damage granted on the target to inflict damage. It's equivalent to its continuous damage. Now, I don't know if that means every single turn counts for another tick of damage, but the potential is there. From what I can see, though, it looks like they mainly added a dot on her skill 1, because I don't think there's any change to ignite. But if Incinerate does count turns of dots, that's actually huge. That could be a lot of damage output. A lot of damage output for her. The one that interests me the most, though, of the Pixies is Casey. So, first of all, I want to mention that all of the Pixies have 111 base speed, which is pretty good. Her base stats are nice. 10.5k HP, 630 defense. So Casey's first skill is no different. Slightly higher harmful effect rate if you skill her. But this is the skill that interests me the most. So Decelerate now has an AoE defense break as well as an AoE slow. So I think there's potential for Casey to be a pretty strong unit, especially due to her base speed. And then Shooting Star. So what they've done with Shooting Star is they've now added a blocks beneficial effects to it, which is kind of cool. I don't know if her skill 2 is going to be enough for me to warrant building her first, but she is a unit that is definitely on my radar and something that I'm interested in. So the classic Shannon, good old Giants B10 starting unit. She now gains attack bar on skill 1. She absorbs the enemy attack bar. Skill 2 now also absorbs attack bar. And no change to skill 3. So they've changed her kit to be very like TOA, even more TOA focused than before, which I think is fine. I don't think there's an issue with that. However, I don't know if she will make a significant difference to most players. Or, sorry, to most endgame players. Cheryl. First of all, I love her color scheming. I think it's amazing. This is a unit that a lot of people are interested in as well because of her skill 3. But her skill 1, I believe, is no different. Her skill 2, Ignite, now removes the target's 1 beneficial effect, which is nice, but not super, super important. And her 3rd skill. This is the skill that everyone's been kind of wondering about and how strong it is. Revives a dead ally and fills the ally's HP up by 15%. Revives another ally with a 30% chance. So I don't think it's going to be that great because of the RNG. But the neat thing that they added is all skills of the revived allies are ready to be used, which could be pretty nuts. Has the potential. All right, Cameron. I don't know if I want to build Cameron. I probably don't, because I'm just so much more interested in Casey and Cheryl. But the skill cooldown is possibly 1 turned with her Decelerate, and then Absorb Energy gets a small change, I believe, in that it adds a skill cooldown increase. So she has 2 skill cooldown increase skills. I don't know if I want to build her. I kind of have a bunch of other units that I can already do that with. So not really sold on Cameron yet. But let's get into it. Let's get into the fairies. So we're going to go in reverse order for the fairies. And the reason for this is because I want to leave the fire fairy last, because she's the one that interests me the most. So let's start with Soren. They look even more like blessings, holy. All right, so Soren, they have increased the harmful effect rate of stun by 1, or by 10%, sorry, by 1. By 10%. Before it was 60 with skill ups, now it'll be 70 with skill ups. Her skill 2 has a chance to, or has a 100% harmful effect rate on a beneficial effect removal. And the stun is the same. If you hit the same target twice, then you get the stun. Her 3rd skill used to be a 3-turn glance, but now it is a 3-turn glance and a 3-turn silence, which is interesting to me. I don't quite know if she will be strong enough due to her base stats. She's kind of squishy, and she's an attack type, so I don't think that she's going to be the utility unit that I want to use. But I think this could be strong, or could be fun at least. All right, Neil. Everyone's favorite ragdoll TOA counter. So Neil gets the same treatment with skill 1. Skill 2. Oh, they changed skill 2 actually. Recovers the ally's HP by 20% of your max HP. So before, this used to be attack scaling. So I guess they've put Neil towards like a support focus. Kind of makes sense if they're going to give her that kind of base HP and such. And then her skill 3 is no different, I think. No, it has immunity now. And reading through these skills are sometimes a bit confusing, but what they've done for Neil is they've given her, they've changed the healing scale, the heal scale on her 2nd skill, and then they've given her immunity on her skill 3. I don't think she really changes that much, to be honest. I think she'll still be used in the same place, but if you find a great use for your Neil, please let me know. Be interested to see how that works out. Okay, so Eileen got a slight change to her skill 1. So it stuns the enemy for 1 turn with a 60% chance. If the target is immune to stun, reduces the target's attack bar to 0 with a 60% chance. I don't know how relevant that will be, but it is a cool mechanic that they've added. Having, you know, these kind of multi-method skills. Skill 2 is still the same. And skill 3 is now a passive. Before, it would attack someone and the damage would increase by 30% per harmful effect. Now it's just a passive. So all of her skills will be debuff scaling now. So Alucia, I know my good friend 30 in Legacy loves this unit. So I hope that they did her justice on it. It looks like her skill 1 has a 100% harmful effect rate for freeze, which could be pretty nuts. Skill 2. Okay, so for skill 2, they added an increased target's attack bar, which is pretty nice. And no change to skill 3, I believe. I believe there's no change to skill 3. But this is pretty nice. 100% freeze rate and attack bar for your ally. It's actually pretty good. Her base stats are not terrible. All right, the last unit. We have a Celia here. This is the unit that I think I'm going to build. She is the one that interests me the most. However, her base stats are the only reason why I'm somewhat reluctant of it. So her skill 1 is no different. Her skill 2, I believe, has a 50% chance added to stun per arrow, is what they added. So if you hit 2 different targets, you have a 50% chance to stun them. But the most interesting thing to me about Celia is her skill 3. Shoots a flurry of arrows, attacking all enemies 4 to 6 times. Each attack has a 20% chance to remove a beneficial effect and reduce their attack speed for 2 turns. So after skill ups, you have a 40% chance to strip and attack speed break a unit, which I think is phenomenal. This is the unit that interests me the most of all of them. So all in all, to go back to it, the units that I'm kind of suggesting, or the units that I think are the recommended ones, I think Rauk is recommended. I think Ramahan is recommended. I actually think this is probably the best unit that they've created. I think that Crow is also a very good option. For Warbears, I think that Ursha is actually going to be a pretty good option. If this doesn't attack, I think this is very good. I think that Dagora will be really fun because of this increased HP scaling. I don't think Ramagos will be very fun, to be honest, but a lot of people are hoping for it. I think that Lucia could be great, but I would suggest checking out and seeing what Sean B does with this unit and seeing if the skill 3 is what we think it is, or if it's kind of underwhelming. And then I don't think Gorgo will be that great. I think he's more of a for fun-ish unit. I don't think he's really super phenomenal. In terms of Pixies, I don't think Tatu changes that much. If this does have turns, like turns on dots that increase damage, then she could be very strong. But she's going to be a very YOLO nuker because her base HP is really low. I think Casey's going to be phenomenal. Attack speed, decrease, defense break. I think that Cheryl has a lot of potential with this. And then for my last picks, it's going to be... It's honestly going to be Neil. I think Neil has some potential with this, with her base stats in PvP. But the real seller for me is Acelia. I think Acelia's skill 3 is going to be what sells me. Of all these units... Oh, I guess in a Lucia. Lucia is pretty good too. This is a really, really strong combination kit. But for me, I think it's going to be Acelia first. Yeah. Besides that, I'm going to put out some videos basically talking about how I approach the dimensional hole in terms of team comps, in terms of what I want to do. I don't think it's going to be worth devilmoning these units. I think you'll be better off farming another second Awaken. I do want to urge you guys to make sure to do the content, even if you're not, doing the hardest difficulties. Please do the content. It's important that you get that progression. And as well, make sure that you do both. You're not just farming runes or just farming Awakens. You want to do a little bit of both. You want to be able to craft these ancient reapps every single week. That's really, really important because they're time gated. You can only get 2 weeks, so you want to make sure every single week you craft these. All right. I don't think there's much else for me to talk about in terms of dimensional hole, ancient crystal stuff. If you guys have any questions, please feel free and come by my stream. Ask me questions anytime. I'm always around to answer. If you can't catch me on the stream, hop in the Discord and tag me or send me a message. I'd be happy to talk to you about whatever it is. But besides that, guys, I really, really hope that you give the new content a chance and you really enjoy it. We've been waiting a long time for new stuff from Com2Us. And I for one, am really excited. I really am. So thank you to Com2Us. Thank you to Summoners Work community and everything. And I hope you guys really like what's going on.